nation. All right, speaking of which, cost of living and everything else, congratulations on getting this thing together as far as the teacher pay. And I think that kind of shocked a lot of people who haven't been keeping up with this across the nation. But, Mr. Chairman, speak to that, and what's your thoughts after it's over?
Paul, I just want to say thank you for confirming what I had been thinking. I'm going to encourage my kids to go to med school instead of law school like the rest of my family. So
I don't have the lawyers thing out here yet.
it's not as good as the doctors. I can testify from experience.
Your thoughts on the teachers' pay raise, and because that's been quite an effort to get this thing in, going back and forth. But in that process, it has made it a better bill. Wouldn't you agree?
No doubt, Paul. I mean, yesterday was a very historic day in the state of Mississippi. The legislature finally adopted the teacher pay raise, which will, we get beat up so many times from so many things. And I'll just say this. We now pay our teachers after the passage of this bill. Our starting teachers are above not just the southeastern average, but the national average. And so I've heard nothing but negative things about our education system since I've come in 11 years ago and been doing this job. And so that needs to be stressed tremendously, that we are above the national average in starting teacher pay in the state of Mississippi. Can't say enough good things about that. The bill took good things from the Senate bill, good things from the House bill that I know Chairman Richard Bennett worked on tirelessly, as well as Chairman DeBar on the Senate side, and we ended up with a really, really good package for our teachers.
Well, congratulations to Richard Bennett and also Chairman DeBar, because they both did a good job, and it was back and forth. But again, I think it's a better bill, and
I agree.
I'm hoping that now this takes next school year. Is that when it becomes effective?
It will 100% go into effect. I guess it would be this next start in July or August. I think it's
because
I think it's July.
On the fiscal year, it'd be
That's
July.
Right.
They begin to they rotate on that also, as far as I know. That is permanent. That's not a phase in or anything else. So it's that's good news, and hopefully some of the teachers who really want to come back home, but it just wasn't advantageous as far as the salary scale, maybe now we'll come back and fill some of the many jobs we have here.
I mean, you're talking about I think an average of a $5,000 raise beginning just next year. I mean, that's real money. And so that's an example of having a competing bill in the House and Senate. And because the Senate bill phased it in initially over 2 years, the House bill did not. And so that's one of the good things that was taken from that conference process and ended up with a good bill. There were other things that we took from the Senate bill that were good as well, but that's just a good example of what you were just talking about.
I do want to ask you this. If you've got a teacher who's been there for 14, 15 years or 15, 20 years, whatever happens, how does that work into this? Are they grandfathered in, or do they have to work up to that, and the starting point will be July?
Oh, no, it's all across the board. It's not just starting teachers. If you've been there 20 years, you're going to get a nice raise as well.
So you've been there 29 years, and you're just you got a bachelor's. You'll be jumping up to $58,400.
There you go. And let me add this.
Yeah.
That's just the state part. Most districts have a local supplement that they add on to that as well. So this is just the state-funded part.
And also through this, there's so many benchmarks and things like that you can achieve. Those are, as you said, just the benchmark or just the starting point part of that.
That's
All
right.
right. Where do we go from here? There's so many other things. You want to touch base on the other bills that are out there, and I want, when we come back on the other side, to get to the personal income tax. The wildlife fund is still there, and I know that's being worked on and very seriously by both House and Senate. But do you want to speak to that?
The wildlife fund is something. This is what's otherwise been known as the Outdoor Stewardship Conservation Trust Fund the program that we started working on last year, and hopefully can get it across the finish line this year. Senator Chairman Neil Whaley, who just happens to be my senator as well back home, and I have a great working relationship, and he is working very hard on the Senate side to get some concessions that needed to be made down there, and he's done a great job with that. There's one or two things that we're still working through, but I fully expect us to get that bill across the finish line this year.
Well, that's what I heard, that it looks like the possibility now, and that may also happen. So we'll leave it there, unless there's anything else you want to mention about that.
No, it looks good. I mean, it's going to be a big thing. I stand by everything I've said before on that bill. It's transformational in the way of conservation for the future of our state and our future generations. It's a big deal, and I can't state how excited I am about that bill. It's a big deal.
I mentioned this yesterday, and again, Trey Lamar, who is chairman of House Ways and Means, and I mentioned this, Trey, day before yesterday. Seems the sleeper thing in here. I mean, I understand when you've got things like personal income tax and everything, teacher pay raise, those take a lot of the limelight away from some of the other bills that are buried within the session, but still alive, and we've got to do something this session on this, according to many of you, as far as the alcohol business in our state, all of that. And that's been kind of under the radar. But where are we now today, March the 23rd, Wednesday, and gaveling in at 10 o'clock this morning?
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'll be glad to comment on that. So you're right. There's been an outcry from businesses all across the state, restaurants and other people in the hospitality world with the current state of our alcohol beverage control warehouse. Now, that's not doing the law enforcement side. That's just the operation of the warehouse that is state controlled under current law. The Senate has a plan and the House has a plan. The House position is to remove us from the alcohol warehouse business. Simple as that. There are other states around us. That's the way Tennessee handles their business. That's the way Louisiana handles their business. That's the way Alabama handles their business for wine. Mississippi is totally controlled for wine and spirits. And so it's kind of a unique animal in that respect. Every state is a little bit different. So the House position is just to state, all right, we're going to pull out. The government is not going to be in the business of controlling a warehouse and operating and running a warehouse. We're going to let the private companies come in the same way they do in Tennessee and Louisiana and run that. And then that would have no effect on the retail side other than who they purchase from. That's the way that would work. The Senate position is let's spend, I think their bill says $60 million. There are other talks that would be closer to $100 million in building a new warehouse, new equipment, modernize it, and then contract out with a third-party company over basically we've talked around at least a 10-year contract where a third-party company would come in and bid on that and win that bid and then operate our warehouse. That's the Senate position. So it's two.
Operate a new warehouse, not in Gluckstadt, but wherever it happens to be.
Well, it could. That's up in the air, Paul. It could be a renovation of the current warehouse and an addition to the current warehouse.
What is the most fiscally feasible to do, though? I mean, I'm not with the Gluckstadt Chamber of Commerce. Don't get me wrong, but it seems like we had numbers 30 to 50 million to just modernize that one, which would take care of some of the supply. But from what I'm hearing from you, and you can take this up and we'll expand on this when we come back, seems you guys are about farther apart on that one than just about maybe personal income tax.
They are two totally different positions. That's correct.
It seems like that way. It's enough to make you have a drink over. Just to think about that might be a good reason.
I'm just enjoying my coffee this morning.